Hey, Brandon, how you doing? Great examples here. Really interesting stuff. Let's go and take a look. I was reading through your analysis, and I think you've got some really making some excellent points here. I'm not so sure I agree, though, that this is necessarily a non-compelling illustration. I'll talk about that in a second. There's something in this illustration that I find really fascinating, and I'll talk about that in a second. But the other illustrations, I think, to a high degree, actually, no, I'll talk about it now. Why not, right? I think this illustration is successful because it does create a narrative. It's telling a story, and the story it's telling is this relationship between the bear and the fish. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and start this video with your question for the week. And that is, can you describe the narrative that is being told here? What's going on in your estimation? What's going on here? Tell the story that you're seeing here. Okay, and just a few sentences. Just tell us the story here, and then we'll see if you're kind of get a little bit of a greater appreciation of what exactly is going on here. So, I mean, it looks like it's a basic T-shirt design, but again, I find a lot of value in it because it is telling a story. So I want you to tell that story for us, okay? And I will say one thing that I thought was a really, really poor decision in this illustration is placing the um, copyright in the author's name right. It's just that was a bad decision. It's completely interfering with the uh, the illustration itself. So I thought that was a poor choice. Other than that, I think it's pretty fascinating. Let's talk about the other two. This one is just great. This is awesome. It's very, very cool. It's got definitely got a vintage feel to it, and it's also got a Art Deco feel to it as well. Another thing that it has to it is we could call this the futurist principles based on the space exploration and that. And then I also think it's really interesting that we kind of mix these two, like a amalgamation of the pinup art and the depiction of the Art Deco rendered stylistic renderings of the composition. So I think it's really interesting. I totally agree with you. And then this one, I think, yeah, this one is definitely a nod to Hispanic culture. Specifically, I'm seeing Aztec roots in this. Um, and I am Hispanic. My father was born and raised in Mexico, and I'd been down to Mexico for several times, and we had visited a lot of the Aztec ruins and Chichen Itza and Tulum and some of those other areas, and we saw a lot of this type of graphics in some of the visual depictions of those kind of touristy areas. I'm not calling this a touristy. I think it is definitely a tip of the hat to the Aztec culture, and I think that's really interesting. And as a Hispanic man, I'm wondering if you agree with that, with what you see. I thought, let me see what you said. The last one, oh, Spanish culture. The second I chose because of its ability to show off the great themes of Spanish culture while keeping clean and legible. And Brandon, I am guessing you're Hispanic by your last name. So let me know. Does this ring true to you? What do you feel about this as a of Hispanic origin? What do you feel about this? But my main question is this: is can you tell us the story? What's going on here? What's the narrative? Decipher, define the narrative, and talk about it a little bit. And then when you're done with that, let me know and just be honest with me if you have maybe a little bit of a greater appreciation for this illustration after you determine the narrative and that's the story it's telling. Okay, great job, Brandon. Thank you very much. If you have any questions at all, please let me know. Thank you.